The strike is sort of dragged on enough, and they have to be concerned about having enough cash to continue to run the business that they're ready to do whatever it takes, right, to shore up their position. I guess it kind of gives me a sense that maybe they think the strike's going to last longer than maybe even we anticipated originally. And so, you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
And we do know that Boeing is on the cusp of seeing its credit rating cut to junk here. What's the likelihood that we could see this happening soon?
I mean, I think that, again, if this strike drags on, you're starting to get to the point where I think once you get past a month where you're probably doing more damage to the supply chain. And so losing a month due to the strike, that doesn't mean it's just going to take you a month to sort of recapture where you were previously. I think losing a month means you put the suppliers in much more strain. Maybe it means it's 6 weeks, 7 weeks worth of recovery. So the further it drags on, I think the more the rating agencies have to think about when are they going to really bounce back to profitability and generate some decent cash, and they've got to keep sort of pushing it out at a multiple of the time the strike has gone on. And so that's what I think the real challenge here. I think I'm not the credit analyst, but I think that the credit agencies, if we drag on again past a month, I think they have to really start to think about whether they can hold Boeing in a band that, frankly, I think they weren't really in anyways. But the credit agencies are trying to look through the cycle a bit here.
The stock's actually up 3.5% on the news today, so maybe that investment-grade credit rating is more important than maybe some dilution here. George, where are we in terms of these negotiations here? We're in week 3. Any movement there?
Not what we're hearing. I think you've heard the same as we did, that another offer came out. It looked like I think it was about a 30% increase. Looks like the union wasn't very interested. I think if you're Boeing right now, what I understand is a lot of these union members got one of their last paychecks either at the very end of September or beginning of October here. And so I think now what you're really trying to do is figure out what the reserve, what the union really, how far they're willing to go, right? Whether they're as girded as they say they are to keep going into a world where they're just not getting paychecks, right? And so maybe here we're in a bit of a who knows, sort of the chicken phase where Boeing says, look, we can push this further, and let's see how long you can't take a paycheck and see how much the union has saved up. And I think the challenge here really is, right, Boeing has to live with whatever cost structure they ultimately agree to, right? And so as much as they just want to get back and start building airplanes, they also have to be very careful about what the long-term effects are on their financials. It's really challenging right now for Boeing in their financial position to have to do this, but they've got to think about the long term here.